Hello everyone, welcome to this information event day for our organization BAME Hub Network. We don't know how many people are still expecting because it's Eventbrite and our events team was handling it. I'm yet to get the full number, but some people are to our community, they operate with a different timing. So sadly, some are late. However, for those who are early, we're just going to continue so that we are on schedule. I just want to confirm, first of all, can you hear me, everyone? And can you see the screen? If you can write on the chat, or that would be great, so we know that everything is fine technically.
Yes, we can hear you and we can see you. Or that's to say we can see the screen and we can see you.
Exactly. That's fine. That's excellent. That's okay. Thank you very much. Okay. Thank you, Damaris. I can see in the chat that you can see. Thank you. Excellent. Okay. That's great. So welcome everyone again. So I'm just going to share with you what BAME Hub Network C.I.C is all about. We are a community interest organization. So I'm just going to let you know, for those who maybe have never interacted with us before, who we are. And for those who are already our members, it's always good to just know what your organization is all about. So if you can put in the next slide, please. Okay, so what and who we are. We are building a world where all people are equal, feel safe and valued. And we know that is a very true statement in the times we are living now. BAME Hub Network is actually what we call a one-stop shop. That's how we see ourselves. And that's why it's very important for us to make sure that everybody feels equal, feels safe, and feels valued. Next slide, please. So who we are. It's a non-profit organization used to act as a focal point in debating and disseminating the issues that are from the BAME community and the UK government. So we have discussed about different issues, we hash them out, we've come together to create reports to criticize things that we don't see are being carried out right for our BAME community. So we are passionate about that. We are passionate about raising awareness. We are passionate about collaborating. Yeah. So we are building a world where we feel safe and valued. So we've already said that. And we are building a network of role models, business entrepreneurs, mentors, heroes and sheroes in different sectors, be it education, sports, who will come together to be the BAME community. As you all know, BAME community is you and I. So all of us, when we chip in together, we make the community we want to be in. So everyone is welcomed, whether you're a sportsman, professional, whether you're a legal profession or health practitioner, everyone is welcome and your expertise are needed and are very welcome, and we value working with you. And we've been doing that for a while now, and it's been fantastic actually. The amount of resources we have in our membership, in our community, we're so talented, we're amazing, we're just amazing. It's blown me away just working with this organization to see how talented and amazing our community is. Yeah. So therefore, as I said before, we are a one-stop shop across the UK, united under one umbrella, and our dedication to the BAME community's empowerment. And, you know, after everything that has happened, especially last year in the summer, BAME empowerment is much needed. And anyway, now we're in the even Black History Month, and there's a debate of whether we should be even celebrating Black History Month, but that's a story for another day. So that's where we see ourselves, as an umbrella, where a one-stop shop where everything happens. Next slide, please. So our mission and our vision is to bridge the gap, improve communication between the UK mainstream and BAME communities. And that is very important for us because what we've noticed sometimes in the mainstream services, sometimes they don't understand uh, cultural differences, they don't understand why we do things the way we do. We also don't understand, especially those in the BAME community arrived, for example, may not understand the system. So we are there to bridge the gap. So we are also here to empower and equip BAME communities and their families with skills to be self-sufficient that help them avoid pitfalls associated with the lack of empowerment or lack of information. So what we do, we have seminars, we have training, especially for young people and children. We've held some trainings with even the police, just for young people to build a relationship with the police. We know currently the relationship with the police and the BAME community is not the best, but it could be better. So we are there to facilitate that. And also we create internships, work placements, and voluntary opportunities. And that has been fantastic. We've worked with amazing volunteers, especially during the heavy lockdown time. It was fantastic. Our volunteers came out up and down the country. We were giving food parcels, and it was amazing. And we really have fantastic volunteers, and we really want to thank them for the time and the effort they put into the organization. So we believe that this will also improve the social standing by being more cohesive, socially and economically productive within the British society as they build their lives in the UK, which is true. I mean, if you're positively participating in the community, there is integration, there's belonging, so there'll be less crime. Kids will be integrated in the school, in the system. They'll start shining activities, talents will be showing off. So, and also family setup will be better. That's what we are aiming for. Yeah. So why did we want to have this event? Simply because leukemia is a disease that's actually really affecting the BAME community, and there's a lot yet to be done. A lot of people are not aware of how it affects us, what we can do, and this is why we felt it's important, because as you see, in one of our visions and our mission is to raise awareness, to educate, to be there for the community so that they're aware. And we know a lot of people in our community have either had a family member who had leukemia or are going through it, and there was not so much support, or they didn't know what to do. They didn't know about, bone marrow donation and all these other things that are out there. So we thought this would be a really good platform for our members, and also those who are not our members, those who are part of our BAME, who recognize with our work and work with us to be aware, to just learn more. And we looked within our networks, and we realized there's already an organization that does amazing work within this field. And that's why we've partnered on this occasion with the Kevin Karawa Leukemia Trust, so that they can give us more information about this. And so without a further ado, I will now invite our founder, Alice Maina, to take over. Alice, are you there?
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah, I think you are muted. Yeah, we can hear you now.
Yeah, because we are having issues from our end with the technical problems, but I hope everything will be fine. Okay, sorry. Sorry everyone, and thank you very much for coming. And my name is Alice Minor. I would like to say thank you very much for Kezia and the entire team for BAME HUB-UK Network to organize this event, and also to say thank you to Kevin Karwarwa and especially to Veronica to accept to come to talk to us tonight. Myself, I'm a registered bone marrow donor because I have attended one of the events that was conducted by Kevin Karwarwa, and that's where I registered myself. So thank you very much for creating this awareness and accepting to come and raise the awareness about leukemia using BAME HUB-UK Network platform. So because we started very late, I do not want to waste your time. I will now invite Kevin Karwarwa Leukemia Trust. So I am thinking is Veronica, but if they will tell us who is going to talk about to take us to the next step. So thank you very much and welcome Veronica to speak to us tonight. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Alice. And may I first of all say hi to everyone. And next, may I also thank you so much, BAME Hub, for inviting us to come and talk about what we do. Kezia, thank you so much for reaching out to us. And we are so happy to partner with you and to lead it what to do to come and talk to you about what we do best. So thank you so much, everyone. And I hope tonight, everybody will go home knowing one thing or two or something new. So without further ado, I'll just talk about our organization. My name is Veronica Karwarwa. I'm the founder of Kevin Karwarwa Leukemia Trust. And Kevin Karwarwa Leukemia Trust is, if you could go to the next slide, please, is an established charity. And our work is leaded to address the issue of stem cell donation within the BAME community. Our aim is to create awareness and to educate our community about leukemia, donation, and stem cell donation, and as well as transplant. So, and our ultimate goal is to increase the numbers of BAME people in the bone marrow register so that we can save lives. So that's what we do. But why? What do we do? If you could go to the next slide, please. So our daily work is we really educate and raise awareness about leukemia, stem cell donation, particularly to members of BAME UK in Africa. We encourage members of BAME community to register on the stem cell and become potential stem cell donors. We provide support, information, and advice to families. We represent, advocate, and campaign on behalf of members of BAME communities to bring forward on the national agenda the difficulties faced by these communities when they suffer from leukemia. And I'm going to talk more about that because what we do, we partner with other leukemia organizations to bring it into the agenda, like to campaign. We do talk to parliamentarians and all that so that this issue can really be highlighted more than it is being highlighted at the moment. So we undertake these activities through seminars, we do workshops, we do conferences, we do outreach, we go to churches, representations, influencing, and campaigning through the social media. So we're using our group of volunteers. We've got a very strong volunteer group, which really, they make me proud because they do a lot of advocating for KKLT. So the question is, why do we do this? If you can go to the next slide. The reason we do this is because, as you can see, the name of KKLT is named after Kevin Karwarwa. Kevin actually was my son. He was only 22 when he was diagnosed with acute myeloid leukemia. And at the time when he was diagnosed, he was in university on year 3, a very charismatic young man. And he was only 22, as I said, and it was a shock when I had that call telling me that, Mom, I've just had a call and they suspect leukemia. Personally, I knew about leukemia. I had heard about leukemia. I knew leukemia, it was a type of a cancer. But honestly, I always thought that it happened to others. I never thought that it would happen to my family. It was quite devastating. It was quite heartbreaking. And to be honest with you, when I got that message, I always remember how paralyzed I became. And my world did change from that day. He was my firstborn. And going forward, when they confirmed the leukemia, I went through a 2-year journey of emotional roller coaster. I had to see my child change from a strong young man to, obviously, I don't know, I'm sure most of you have seen people going through cancer treatment, loss of hair, radiotherapy, chemotherapy, and all those things, they do take a toll on, they did take a toll on his health. And he was really a changed young man. But what really was more devastating was that to hear that the only thing that could save his life was a stem cell transplant or a bone marrow transplant. And we were hopeful, we knew, and we thought that he could get a donor. But what we didn't know is that very few Black people registered to become donors. We also didn't know that bone marrow transplant or stem cell donation goes with ethnicity. So if you're Black, you match a Black. If you're Asian, you match Asian. If you're Caucasian, you match Caucasian. So it was really disappointing to hear. And especially I remember when the doctor called me and told me, we are sorry to inform you that we couldn't find a donor. And I asked why. We checked the whole world, all the registries, and we couldn't find a donor. And my question was, the whole world? Are you telling me the whole world you couldn't find a donor? But it is at that point that I knew that Black people don't register, so we are nowhere, and our numbers are very few on the bone marrow register. So it was really devastating, heartbreaking. We did our best. We did a national campaign. I think Kevin's story was in ITV, BBC, and all that. We were trying to do local news because we were trying our best to see whether he could get a donor. And I have to thank the Kenyan community because I think there was a day we did a donor drive and 500 people registered within 2 hours. We were so hopeful, but unfortunately, he couldn't get, it was too little too late, and he couldn't get a donor. And on 20th of May, 2014, my son passed on. He so much wanted to get better. He was so much wanted to be hopeful. And his wish on his deathbed was really if he could educate young people and encourage them to register, because also when he was going through that, he could also not believe that it is something we had to learn, and we had to learn the hard way. So obviously, naturally, after he had gone, we thought the best way to do his legacy is to start a foundation, is to start this trust and really encourage the BAME people to register to become stem cell donors. If the sad thing about being unfortunate is that if you're unfortunate to get leukemia, if you're Black or from a Caribbean background, if you're unfortunate to get leukemia, you got only about less than 20% to get a donor. But if you're Caucasian, they actually have about 60 to 95% of getting a donor. And why is that? Because we are not registering, because we don't know, because personally, as I say, I also didn't know. It had to happen to us for us to know this information. And that's why we thought it is good to share this information, educate people, so that they can be able to know that there is a problem. Because anybody, as I said, I never thought leukemia would happen to us. So we can do that, and we can make provisions whereby we can proactively solve our own problems, because this one problem, I know as BAME people, sometimes we are reluctant to do a lot of things, but this one thing, nobody can do it for us. We have to do it for ourselves. We have to solve our own problems. And that's why we are so passionate about educating people so that more people can register to become stem cell donors and save lives. Because as I said, if you're unfortunate to get leukemia and you're black, chances of getting a donor is very slim. Back home in Africa or in Kenya, there are no stem cell registries. The only stem cell registry I think there is in Africa, which is quite well established, is South Africa. And of course, anybody can understand why it is there, because it's quite a white-driven country. So why don't we have these things in Africa, where if being black, you can only match a black, it only makes sense that we would need something like this back home, so that if you get leukemia, then you can so easily get a donor. But unfortunately, that is the situation is quite dire for anybody who gets leukemia. And as you can see, the percentage there, 15% of stem cell donor are only from BAME communities. 2% are only from Africa and Caribbean origin. So we really need to increase these numbers. So, and that's why we formed Kevin Kararo Leukemia Trust, to do our best to increase those numbers and to save lives. That's our story, that's our reason, and that's our big why behind KKLT. The next slide, please. So our mission and vision, we acknowledge that knowledge is power and power can make change. And without information, actually God says that my people perish because of lack of information or lack of knowledge.
Sorry about that. Could you please mute yourself? Thank you.
So the Bible says our people perish because of lack of knowledge. And I think once we educate ourselves and once people know what is required and the processes, we realize that when people are well informed, they make good decisions. And that's why that is what drives us. That is our, that drives us what we do. Our mission really is to ensure everyone has the same leukemia survival rate, regardless of their ethnic background. And that's because of the difference there are at this particular moment in time. Our vision is to raise awareness about leukemia, blood cancers, educate people about stem cell and bone marrow donation. And we'd like to raise this percentage of BAME people, BAME stem cell donors by 3% by year 2030. It's a tall order. But it's a dream and a vision that we are aspiring to get to. Of course, we have values that drives us, which is dedication. We are dedicated to our BAME members. We are really committed to people, especially those who suffer from leukemia. We really go out, and especially like during this COVID, we were helping people get medication, giving food parcels, educating them and giving emotional support. So that's what we normally do. And of course, all this is driven by integrity and an empathy, which is driven from our experience, our personal experience with the leukemia experience. So, so briefly, I think I'll just talk about what is, leukemia and types of leukemia, because I'm aware of time. So what is leukemia? Leukemia is really a blood cancer. It actually affects the, when we say it's a blood cancer, I know people are aware that in our body we have blood, we have platelets. No, within the body, we do have like red blood cells, we got white blood cells, and we got platelets. So and all our cells are actually manufactured in the bone marrow. Could you go to the next slide, please? are manufactured in the bone marrow. So when we get leukemia, it's really usually is the problem starts with the manufacturing of cells that actually form all those components of the blood. And if something goes wrong within the formation of cells within the bone marrow, then that is when people develop leukemia. There are 4 types of leukemia. There is acute leukemia, which is like the one my son had, which is called acute myeloid leukemia. It comes suddenly, as the name states, it's quite acute. So if it is not treated, one can actually die very quickly. It's, as I said, it affects the bone marrow. Usually when the bone marrow manufactures the cells, the stem cells, usually what happens that is the bone marrow manufactures cells as basically as stem cells. But as these stem cells, they grow, they become red blood cells, some become white blood cells, some become white platelets. So what happens is that some of the cells do not mature to become proper cells. And then that is when they become diseased and they're not doing the work they're supposed to do. And that's when people develop leukemia, which is as I said, is the disease of the blood. So, and when some of these cells are quite immature, so they don't do the work that they're supposed to do within the body. So what happens is that you start getting infection, you start feeling tired. People with actually, some of the symptoms for leukemia is easy bruising. So you can see yourself, you're bruising very easily. You're getting fatigue, kind of getting, tired very quickly and breathless. If you get an infection, it takes quite like colds and flu. It gets longer to heal. And actually, when my son got, for my son to realize or for us to find out that he had leukemia, he was in uni, and I think I called him. And the first week, I think I used to call to talk to him quite often. And so he had this cold that actually went for 2 weeks. And for a young person to have a cold that was not really getting better, I asked him, look, it is quite unusual for somebody to get a cold that prolongs for 2 weeks. Can you go to the GP and get your bloods done? And luckily, he had me and he went and got his bloods done. And that's when we found out that he had leukemia. So if you get somebody who is having a cold or flu and it's not really kind of abating and it's prolonging, then it's good to advise that person to go get that checkup. Because some of these symptoms, they just come as normal symptoms. You would think they're just cold and flu, and then you would ignore them. So that is acute myeloid leukemia. It comes quite suddenly. It can actually kill you very quickly, and people get treated by chemotherapy. And most people with acute myeloid leukemia, they require bone marrow transplant. So there is also chronic leukemia. So if you could go, there is chronic leukemia, which takes longer. As per the name chronic, it takes longer to, you can have the illness, but those cells, they are quite mature and they're not mature. So they are actually doing work and they're not doing work completely, but it takes longer for a long time for the leukemia to really develop to leukemia. But something good with chronic leukemia is usually treatable with chemotherapy. So there are 4 types of leukemia. So there is the acute myeloid leukemia. And as you can see, the details there, 600 people are diagnosed with it. Then there is chronic myeloid, which is CML. There is also another one called, go to the other one. I'm just going quickly. CLL, chronic lymphocytic leukemia. This one, usually when you see the lymphocytic, it means it affects the lymph nodes. Meaning, I know we all have, I don't know how to explain this, but lymph nodes usually happen, we have them on our on our throats or on our necks, under our armpits, in the groin area. So, and those are the ones that get actually affected. So if you're finding that you have all those like tonsillitis kind of a thing, or you have a lump under your armpit, or even somewhere around the groin, it is very good to get checked, because that is where it really actually starts presenting itself, especially like nodes or something. So you feel a lump or something. So if you feel a lump like that, it's always very good to get yourself checked. So there is also ALL. If you can go down, there is also the acute ALL. It's the same. It also actually attacks the lymph nodes, but also it's acute. So it happens quite quickly and suddenly. Could somebody mute themselves? I think there's somebody who's not muted. Monica?
Oh, okay. All right. I've muted.
Sorry, Veronica, about that. You can unmute yourself. I've just muted everyone. Sorry.
Sorry. I've been talking when, where was I? Can you hear me, guys?
Yeah, we can hear you. You can just start. You can just start from the acute, when you were saying about the lymph nodes.
Oh yeah, okay. So anything that you see with the lymphoblastic, it's to do with it. It actually attacks the lymph nodes. So the symptoms, if for this kind of leukemia, is to kind of notice under the armpits, on the neck or on the groin. So those are the areas that where you see some of the symptoms. So if you see a node or something or a lump in those areas, get yourself checked quickly. Although they say that it gets frequently, this illness gets with the children, it also gets into young adults as well. So most young adults between 15 and 25, they get this, the acute leukemia. So can you go to the next slide? I hope that probably that explains. It's actually with the leukemia, I think the best thing is to go unleaded, but then it's good to be aware that there are 4 of them. Although there is another one which is quite rare. It's called hairy leukemia. It usually gets more men than women, but it's quite rare, and it's quite a combination of nearly all of these leukemias. So it's really kind of complicated. But those are the main leukemias. But even within these leukemias, there are other blood cancer diseases that requires transplant. There is lupus, there is also stem cell, there is also sickle cell, which also requires transplant. So when we talk about, when we register people to become stem cell donors, we are also hoping that people also with sickle cell or with things like lupus can also be able to benefit from getting donors. So how do you become a donor? It is easy, it is simple. I know when people hear bone marrow transplant, people start thinking people are going to cut their bones. I know those are the myths. So, and people fear, and especially people from our community, our BAME community, they, you know, when they hear about bone marrow, the first thing is, oh, they're gonna cut my bones. But that's not the way it is. It is very simple and it's very easy. The first thing you do is to register. No, the first thing is to actually make sure that, you know, right now we are working with DKMS, and when you are 17 to 55 and you are in good health, meaning you don't have a serious illness like cancer, diabetes, or diseases like I've just mentioned, lupus and all that, or you don't have like a blood illness, you can register. And it's so easy, as I said, because what you do, you just fill a form and then you're given 2 swabs. So you put them in your mouth, you just swab the saliva, and then that saliva for probably about 60 seconds. And then those swabs, then you put them in an envelope and you just send them to the register. So what they do, they take these 2 swabs and they take the, within the saliva, there is your biological markers, or what they call DNA or something, not the full DNA, but of course there is that DNA, or they check what we call, for ease of understanding, I just like saying biological markers. And in these biological markers, which are unique to you and unique to everybody, so it's
Hi, Veronica, you still there? Sorry, everyone. It seems like Veronica is frozen. Just going to see what's happening. Um, since she had to log out, probably she's experiencing a technical fault in her side. Just bear with us 1 second as we give her a few minutes to try and log back in. Meanwhile, we can start putting in the chat any questions that you have for her, or for us as BAME. Once she's finished, we can answer them. Thank you. And apologies for this.
Sorry, Kezia, I just sent her the login details and see if she'll be able to come back.
Hi everyone. If you can just be patient, I've been able to speak to Veronica. She just had a technical difficulty from her end, but she's soon joining us. So just be patient. And again, apologies for this. We know how technology works, so she'll be with us in a few minutes. For those who just joined us, we are continuing with the leukemia track, Kevin Carrera track, and they're just raising awareness about leukemia. And now we've just reached to the point where they're telling us how we can be bone marrow donors. So just be patient. We love it.
Hiya.
Excellent. Welcome back, Veronica.
Hello. Everything, the computer just went off.
I'm so sorry.
Sorry. Sorry about that. Sorry about that. So
You can
where was I?
You were
These
explaining to us
technologies
how we
sometimes.
can be, you were explaining how we can be bone marrow donors.
Yes. So it's easy to become a donor. You just, as Alice was saying, Alice, I was very happy to hear that you already registered to be a potential stem cell donor. I always feel very happy when I hear people have registered. So it's easy. You just take 2 swabs, you put it in the mouth, you get the saliva, and then you take it. We are currently working with the DKMS, but there is also another registry called Anthony Nolan. There is also another one for UK. So I mean NHS. But we are working at the moment. We are working with we are partnering with DKMS. So they give us all the equipment. So even if you go to our website, that is where it will take you to the DKMS. So as I said, the saliva, they're going to take the DNA markers or biological markers. They do something called HLA tissue typing. Now, once they get those biological markers, they give them a code, and that's what they store. And what happens, they just put it in their registry, in their data, and that's it. You don't have to do anything else. So what happens is that if a patient or if somebody gets leukemia somewhere, just across the globe, and they require a transplant, what happens is that the consultant goes to all the registries and and gives the biological markers of the patient. And they ask the registry, could you check whether you have anybody registered with similar kind of the biological markers? So usually they look something which is 100% or something near 100%, like 98, 99. The more you match someone, like to 100%, the better. But something actually starting from 95, even 50, because sometimes they do take 50 when, you know, when they feel like it can work. So, but when they do, that is how they match. So they look at the patient, they check on the registry whether there is anybody who is registered who have the same biological markers that matches the patient. And at that point, they call you. If you happen to match that of the patient, then they call you. And at that point, they'll ask you, they'll tell you that, you know, you registered, and somebody somewhere, it could be somewhere in the world, it could be in USA, they could be anywhere. And they'll ask you whether you're happy to donate. And if you consent and say yes, then the next thing they do, they just do medical, just to check you are in good health, everything is okay, and then they plan for you when you can go and donate. And they work so well so they just don't tell you to donate and then you go tomorrow. No, because they also have to prepare the patient and they have to make all the workup so that when they get your stem cells, they'll get it, and immediately they get it, they are going to transport the stem cells. Immediately the stem cells will get to the patient, and then the patient will get them immediately. So what happens is that once you are medically whatever, and you're ready to donate, what they do is that 4 days before you donate, they give you some small injections to inject on the stomach muscle. Those injections, they're quite very small, and what they do is they increase your white blood cells. And these are the white blood cells. Once they are increased, that they are going to harvest within the 4 days. And what they do is that they put you in a machine, like it's just like taking blood. It's just like giving blood. So if you have ever given blood, you just give one arm, and we're gonna see the picture with this slide. So they take blood with one tube, pass it through a machine, and then this machine will separate everything else and just take the stem cells, or rather the white blood cells. Everything else goes back into your other arm. And it is these white blood cells that they are going to go and give the patient. And then you go home and you save a life. It's so simple. And that's why we are so keen to getting people to know that it is very simple to save a life. It's a noble thing to save a life. And I think it's also good to leave a legacy when you know that you have saved somebody's life. So if you can click on the video, but the one with yellow at the bottom, there is a prayer thing you can pray there. Yeah. You can just watch how easy it is. So that's how easy it is. That's how it is to donate. So don't be scared. I'll give you a story of one. So far, I think we have registered more than 1,000 people. I have to say it's not easy to register our people because, as I say, we are suspicious, we are afraid, there are so many reasons. Our cultures, our traditions, our belief system and all that, they come into play, and actually they make things very difficult for all of us. But I always say, I think when it comes to saving a life, sometimes it's good to overlook some of these things if you can be able to save a life. And we also encourage people to donate blood as well, because we also don't donate blood as we should be able to. So we've also been encouraging young people to donate blood so that they can actually save a life. And one thing I like asking people is, if you had an accident out there, and especially in this country, and if you're taken to hospital, you are guaranteed, if you have lost blood, to get blood. But we never ask, where does that blood come from? And that blood comes from somebody. And if that blood comes from somebody, why is it that we are also not giving? And I think it is a very good thing that if we can encourage our children, if we can encourage our people to really be proactive in giving blood so that we can save, lives. And especially sickle cell is really suffered by people from Black and Caribbean people. And sometimes the blood also sometimes requires to come from Black people so that it can match those ones of Black people. Although most of the time you can be given anybody's blood if you so long as is the same match. I mean, is the same type. But really, even Black people, we need to be able to give more blood so that we can be able to save, especially our friends who get sickle cell. So we do encourage people to do that, so that, and especially after we have gone through what we went through, our aim is not to see another family going what we went through. And if we can just save one life, sometimes that is all we need. And when we go signing people, all we are looking for is, if only even one person can sign, you never know, because that person could be the one to save a life. So the story I wanted to give you is one of the lady I signed up, and then she went on holiday. She came back and she found an answering machine, and an answer on her voicemail asking her to call, I think it was the DKMS. And then they told her that you have matched someone, would you like to donate? And then she started panicking. So she called me and I advised her and I told her it's not scary, it is easy. And we talked about it. And then I don't know what actually made her change her mind, because she decided not to donate. But although she decided not to donate, the person she was going to donate for was actually her brother. Her brother was in USA, and he had just been diagnosed with leukemia, and he didn't have bone marrow. So the request had come actually from USA. She didn't know. They don't let you know actually who even when you donate, they don't let you know who you donate to. So the reason she knew that it was her brother, it's because her brother called her and told her that he's been diagnosed with leukemia, and they had found a donor in UK, but the donor in UK had declined. And then it hit her that she's the one who had declined. That was a very sad story, because when she gave it to me, she was actually crying. But the good thing is that her brother, her other brother who was in Kenya, actually matched his brother, and he was able to donate for his brother and save his life. So what am I saying? That you never know when you're donating, you never know who you could save. It could be one of your relatives, it could be even a family member, you never know. So as I said, it's easy to register and to become a donor. And if today you have been inspired to want to become a donor, you can go to our website, www.kkltrust.org, and you go to leukemia page. You find the page that will ask you to click to see whether you are eligible. You fill a form. It has only probably 3 questions, and then they'll send you a form. You fill it in. They'll send you something to put the saliva in, or the swabs, and then you send them back, and then you get after some time you get a card just to say you're a potential donor. At that point, you are just a potential donor. It doesn't mean that you're donating. You might be called, or you might never match anyone, so you might never be called to donate. So it's just that you are agreeing that I'm ready, I would like to save a life. That's all it is to become a potential donor, and that's what we do. So thank you so much for inviting us. I hope the information I've given has been helpful, and hopefully we can all work together to save lives. Thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Hello? Yeah, we can hear you. Thank you so much, Veronica, for taking the time. It was really powerful. It was sad, but also empowering to know that you can actually save a life. And the information, when we were reading out the statistics, it was damning to see how our community, it's hard. I mean, the goal to reach just 3%, and how you stated that it's really difficult to get on the register. So I hope this has inspired you, BAME network, to really, really think long and hard to be a donor. Like Veronica has said, you don't know who you're donating to. But even if you did, still the power to help another human being should be paramount in terms of our motivation. So we're really thankful for that. So we are going to open now the floor for any questions, and we'll provide the answers, obviously, that you might have, whether it's about the presentation you've had or anything that you'd like to know about BAME as well. And I'll just look out for the hands, and then I will be calling each one out for the hands, and then I'll also be watching with my founder here, Alice, to check if there's any other questions also in the chat. So bear with us as I look through this. Okay, I can see Debbie has raised her hand. So Debbie, if you could ask your question, unmute yourself and ask the question.
Thank you. Yes. Very interesting, and thank you. And I'd like to try to be a donor, but I do worry that I may not qualify because they would never take my blood for blood donation because I lived and ate beef in the UK between 1990 and 1996. Have you ever heard that they often refuse to take blood from these people? And so I'm worried that, I mean, obviously that's a technical question and you may not know the answer, but do you think that would be a problem?
No, because registering to become a potential donor have got nothing to do with the blood.
Right.
So
Okay.
It's your age and good health.
Okay, so what would the age limit be then?
So the age is between 17 to 55.
I see. Okay. All right. Okay. Okay, but that's interesting and very helpful to know. Thank you.
We have also been raising that question about blood because I think sometimes when you come from Africa, they have a tendency of not accepting. But now I think the things have eased out, and they are really. I think we have really been raising those issues.
Mm.
Yeah, because so many people say that. But even for that, that's why we're encouraging young people, especially who've been brought up here, to really kind of be proactive and give blood. Yeah. So,
Yes.
but with stem cell donation, with becoming a potential donor, it's got nothing to do with blood. It's just your willingness that you can save a life, because it is about stem cell. It's not to do with the blood.
I understand. Okay, that's very helpful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Debbie, for your question. Let me just see. Any other question? There's Gadoni Muigai, if you could ask your question, please.
Hi, I just want to commend Veronica for the amazing work she's doing. I've seen her and I've invited her to some function. I know she lives all the way close to Croydon and she's come all the way to Bedford. I've seen her in Milton Keynes. I've seen her in so many functions, and it takes a lot of her resources to do that. And the fact that it's a voluntary organization she's running, it's her time, her money, her resources. So Veronica, I really have no words. You are such, you are such an inspiration to our community that you from Kevin, who I know and who is really a wonderful person, you're continuing this legacy to say that there is hope, that we can give hope to other Black people and tell them that if you can only register, you can give somebody a chance. Just also to say that with all that time she uses, there's a lot of money that I'm sure she uses, petrol and all that. And I know she's very humble. I mean, she would not outrightly ask. I know her motivation is to register people in the register, but if anybody has even £5 to spare, a month to contribute to what she's doing, it will make a big difference because she's able to travel far and wide and just reach out to as many people as she can. I think now Zoom is a great way because, you can reach out many more people, but if anybody has any way of supporting, even £2 can make a difference. So thank you so much. And thank you for the platform.
Thank you so much for that. Thank you. Is that Isabel?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, thank you. Oh, thank you so much, Isabel. I don't have any words to say. We just do our best. And as I said, ours is to not see any family go through what we went through. And especially if we have, as I said, we didn't know. We learned the hard way. So ours is to let people know and then do what we can and to be proactive and just make a difference. So thank you so much for that encouragement, Isabel.
You're amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. Let me just see, there's a question before we had that if you're on one register, do you stay on it forever or do you get taken off, or can you register with different others, like if it's Nolan or did you say DKS? I can't remember what you said. Or do you just stay on one?
That's a very good question. You can't register with two registries because, as I said, they check. Yeah, they do. If somebody gets unwell, they check on all the registries, and you can't appear on two registries. But and then your name already will stay in the registry, I think, until your 50, is it 60, about 60, and then they will remove they will remove your name from the registry. Has that answered your question?
Yeah, I think that has really answered the question. If they have follow-up, they will ask us. They've just left, so hopefully it'll be fine, it'll be sufficient. I just wanted to ask, for me, a personal question. In the era of data protection and all the things that are happening, how, and our community being very, worried about the information being out there, what can you say, or how can we encourage people to get on the registers?
Actually, this is one of the things that it's a very good question. This is one of the things we first of all deal with, because as you know, our community we are very suspicious people. And I've had comments like people saying, oh, what are they going to do with our data? What are they going to do with our DNA? Not only data, but even our DNA. There is a history of misuse of Black people information and other things. So people are quite wary. And those are the things we first obviously deal with, or kind of make sure, reassure people. So if you register with DKMS, that registration goes only to DKMS, and it's only for that purpose. It's not for any purpose, for any other purpose at all. And as I said, what they do is they just get those biological markers, they give it a code, and then they put it in their data. So it's not even that data that will be, if somebody comes and see that data, will know it's your name. They'll only pull your name once another biological marker comes and matches that code that they have given it. So we always get that information and that reassurance from DKMS, and they are also bound by data protection and everything, that information you give, it's only for that purpose and that purpose only. So we really reassured on that aspect. Does that?
Yeah, that's perfect. Thank you very much for answering that question. Anyone else? Let me just check. I don't leave out anyone with a question. For those who just joined, we're just taking questions from the presentation that Veronica has given us about leukemia and stem cell donations. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask them now. If you have any questions also concerning BAME, also feel free to ask now. Or you can write in the chat if you don't want to speak. We'll just give a few more minutes, see if there's anyone, because I know also that people just messaged me saying they have issues writing on the chat. So let me just see.
Technology. Mine went off, so.
Okay, it seems that there is no other question. I guess I'm just checking with you if anyone has sent you a message or question directly before we close up.
Look, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, I'm told that there is problem to check the chat, so that's why we are doing it from the screen. Can you see some of the chat already there, or?
Yeah, I can see. I will just share with it's not a question, but some people have said we're really sorry about what happened to your family, Veronica, and thank you for what you're doing. A wonderful job, and it's amazing that you're helping others in the same situation. And yeah, we echo that as BAME Hub. I mean, like you said, information is power. Without it, we perish really, literally. So I hope this will encourage people to speak with your friends, you know, with your peers, with your friends when you're sharing other ideas. Let's talk about health. Let's talk about wellness. Let's talk about how we can be our brother's keepers even by actually donating. So it doesn't seem like there's any other questions. So I'll just say here, thank you so much, Veronica, for coming to speak to us. That was really informative, educative, and amazing, actually. And kudos to you and your team for the wonderful work you're doing. And BAME Hub Network is here to continue to support you. And hopefully more people will sign up from this. And we want to thank our BAME Hub Network members and their friends for showing up tonight. It's Friday, could be anywhere else, but you chose to be here, and we are really, really grateful. We don't take it for granted. We're very honored. If you didn't feel like you wanted to ask a question now and later you think about it, you can contact us. Our contacts are just on the screen. You can phone us, you can email us. We're also on our social media pages as well. So please do get in touch with us, whether it's about leukemia or any other issue that you need our support. And as we always say in BAME, together we are stronger. So let us go into the weekend and to especially this Black History Month, knowing that we are each other's resources. I will just give Alice Fonda a chance to just say thanks and then we will close.
Thank you very much, Cassia, for inviting KKLT to come and talk. It's good to network. It's good to partner. I can see you're also doing great job, great work. So, and if there is anything we can do to help and work together, we're here and we are ready.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Alice, if just close and then.
Hello, Kezia, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now. I know
We are
you've been
not
having
struggling all the
technical
time that we
difficulties.
are. Yeah, we have technical difficulties. Thank you very much. Like now we wanted to share the details for the Veronica at the end, and it's like we are not managing to get that. I don't know what is happening today. We are very sorry about that. Thank you very much for everyone for attending, and we have come to the end of the session. If, as Kezia said, if you need more information, you can send to us inquiries at BAME-HUB-UK-NETWORK.org, and we can get back to Veronica and we can share more information. So please, we do encourage you to share the information and also to come and ask us all the questions that you need. And then you can talk to Veronica straight through the numbers that she provided before when we were doing the presentation. We are going to share this on our social media platform because we have been asked by many people, those who are working at night shift, they are not able to come and be with us. They always ask us to share, and then they can spread that way and they can have a chance to look at it. So thank you very much, and may you all have a good night.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Yes, thank you. Bye-bye. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.